are listening to Reading for You. Why should I 你读绘本? The book we are reading today is Wild Buildings and Bridges, Architecture Inspired by Nature. It is written by Etta and Carl Wines. I am Tyler, and with me today is Raymond.
Hello, everyone.
We will be guiding you through the reading today.
欢迎收听外师带你读绘本。今天要介绍的书是《野生建筑和桥梁：自然启发的建筑》，对应的永续发展目标是第9个 Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure 产业创新与基础设施。This is a very interesting book, Tyler. So, could you please tell us the reason why you choose this book and a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. So I picked this book mainly because it shows how nature can inspire creativity and even can inspire innovation. So a little bit more about this book, Raymond. I don't know if you got the chance to read it, but in it we see how nature gave many people in the past inspiration to designing not only some beautiful buildings, but very efficient buildings, very sturdy buildings, and even, in some cases, designs that brought life to some parts of the world. The question that comes to my mind when I read this book is, where can the students find inspiration in nature?
Okay, you are very much welcome to visit the ETRC Facebook page and share your thoughts or ideas with us.
Now I will be reading starting from page 7 of our book. Imagine you're visiting a wetland. You might see dragonflies, reeds, water lilies, ducks, quack quack, frogs, and heron. What you might not see is what's below the surface of the water, the living and rotting plants in the sticky black muck. Sounds gross, doesn't it? It's this gross part, though, that inspired the invention of the living machine, a system used by some buildings in North America to clean and save water. The creators of the living machine knew that wetlands act like a filter to clean dirty water. When pollutants such as acid rain, fertilizer, and animal poo enter the wastelands, some are absorbed by the plants. The rest drop down to the bottom, where bacteria gobble them up like delicious fries and burgers. Water that flows out of the wetlands is much cleaner than when it entered. The living machine works in the same way. It is a series of large tubs or tanks containing plants, snails, clams, algae, and bacteria submerged in water. Dirty water from sinks and toilets in a building is piped down to slowly flow through the tanks. The organisms have a feast. By the time they're done, the water is clean enough to be used again for watering gardens, washing cars, or filling toilets. Turning the desert green. If you were given the job of building in the desert, one of your biggest design challenges would be dealing with the lack of available water. I mean, it's a desert, right? Not just for drinking or washing, but also for growing food. But thanks to the inspiration from the Nambian fog-basking beetle, a clever designer has figured out a way to turn a part of the desert green. Even though this beetle lives in the Namib Desert, on the southwest coast of Africa, it has no problem getting fresh drinking water. During the day, the beetle hides deep under the sand. When it emerges after dark, its body is slightly cooler than the surrounding night air. As a fog breeze blows in from the nearby sea, droplets of water form on its back. A similar thing happens on your cooler bathroom mirror when you run a steamy, hot shower. To get a drink, the beetle simply tips its body forward and water droplets run down its back into its mouth. Mimicking this beetle, Seawater greenhouses are able to produce fresh water in the desert, enough to grow veggies all year round as well as to supply water for crops outside. How, you might ask? Warm, humid air is drawn through the greenhouse to a back wall covered with pipes filled with cool seawater. When the warm air hits the cool pipes, droplets of water form on their outside and drip down into a holding tank. So, Raymond, what do you think about this book?
I think this is a very, very interesting book, like I mentioned before. For those who love buildings, this book is definitely your go-to book because it's a mixture of science and arts, and how nature can affect and inspire people on designing buildings and bridges. What about you, Tyler? What about your thoughts on the book?
I like the book. I like especially the part that I actually really like about the book is that it encourages the students, or it encourages everybody who reads it, to look at nature and see how it has inspired creativity and innovation. And now it's our activity time.
In the worksheets, you write down one of the words Tyler is about to introduce and your answer to the question we ask today. Tyler, what are your 3 favorite words?
So the first word is design. It's spelled D-E-S-I-G-N. Design.
设计.
The second word is nature. N-A-T-U-R-E. Nature.
自然.
And the last word is architect. A-R-C-H-I-T-E-C-T. Architect.
建筑. Awesome. Can you make a sentence with one of the words?
Sure. The sentence for today is, I love to go outside and look at nature.
Okay, and here is my question of the day is, when and where can you go to be inspired by nature?
Well, I mean, the most obvious answer is go outside anywhere where you can see trees, where you can see plants, and where you can see not just a few, not just some, but many of them. Like, for example, here in Taoyuan, you could go to the Tiger Head Mountain. That's one place you could go. Or, if you want, you could go into Taipei and go to Yanlingshan. That's another place you can go. And if you want to go a little bit farther away, I recommend Taroku Gorge in Hualien. Can't wait to see your worksheet. Write down your answers and send your worksheet to the Google form. You may win a big prize later. For more info, please visit Taoyuan ETRC Facebook or website.
同学们每周听完单集后呢，欢迎投稿你们的学习单。Google 表单连结可以请见英语教学资源中心脸书或者是官方网站。只要投稿一次，就会有一次的抽奖机会。然后每次段考都会抽好礼，然后期末呢就是在加码抽大奖。
Thank you so much for reading with us today. We love sharing the magic world of books with you. The book we shared in this episode is Wild Buildings and Bridges, Architecture Inspired by Nature, written by Etta Caner and Carl Winnes. Now, it's your turn to read and discover the fun of reading. Now, I'll see you all next week when we read a new story. Happy reading! See you next week. Goodbye!
Goodbye!
This program is sponsored and brought to you by Taoyuan ETRC, Department of Education, Taoyuan.